A quick preface before starting this video is that you are going to watch something in regards only to the anime. The manga will not be referenced here whatsoever, so you don't need to worry about that. Enjoy. I fully expected that I'd be making a Chainsaw Man video, but I cannot ever say that I thought the talking point would have anything to do with the character work. Shonen has always been pretty simple. The genre, well, demographic target, but you get the point, has always been like a greasy burger. In all technicality, most of these burgers are not very good for you, but they look and taste so good that they become people's favorites anyway. I expected much of the same from Chainsaw Man. Simple anime with simple characters that has good animation and fun fights. And while the characters aren't that much more in depth than your typical shonen, it's the base structure for them that's entirely different. For comparison purposes, and to make my point, let's take a look at some other shonen anime. The base for pretty much the vast majority of main characters in other series is their kindness. Goku doesn't kill anyone until the Buu arc in Z. Tanjiro shows sympathy towards demons, though to his credit, he will only let his guard down after killing them. Itadori had to overcome his moral issue of killing curses that used to be human, and while he doesn't hesitate anymore, he still doesn't seem very comfortable with it even at the end of the first season. I could make this list go on and on with other characters, but you get the idea. What Chainsaw Man does differently is the most simple yet effective change to the shonen character formula. Nearly every single character in Chainsaw Man is incredibly selfish and a total piece of shit in some regard. Not that they don't have their own redeeming qualities and reasons, of course. Oddly enough, the selfishness of the characters is kind of a breath of fresh air, especially for the genre, and it never feels unrealistic, really. The choices that the characters make are ones that feel entirely possible. Denji's character makes the most sense as he grew up with absolutely nothing and at this point is practically a slave to his desires. As he stated when asked which side he was on, humans or devils, whoever's going to take care of me. He lacks empathy due to his circumstances growing up and shows no emotion towards anyone generally. Denji clearly mulls this over himself after the events of episode 9, noting that he likely wouldn't cry for anyone's death, and any sadness he did feel would quickly be rebounded from as he gets to have his 3 meals a day and a bath, which is the best life. His incredibly simple lifestyle wouldn't mean much to most people, but to him it's quite literally everything he has, and it's the best thing he's ever experienced. His lack of father figure is also a reason why I excuse how damn horny he is all the time. Normally I'd find it a bit annoying, like a Mushoku Tensei sort of thing, where like literally everyone is horny at any given moment, but despite how present it is, it never really feels overbearing and just kind of works with his character. He also gets over it a fair bit in the later half of the season, so all's well that ends well, I guess. Aki is probably the most sensible character in the show. His selfishness, if you really want to even call it that, would be his absolute desire for revenge, but revenge is pretty typical motivation-wise, so he might be more of an outlier as he's shown that he's more than willing to put himself in harm's way to get what he wants. He does ignore other people's concerns for his well-being though, like Himeno wanting him to go quit and go private with her, and Kurosei and Tendo telling him to quit since he only has a couple years left to live, to which he denied. But yeah, I mean, other than that, Aki's pretty much the exception to the rule. He is pretty decent as a human being and pretty much what you'd expect out of most anime characters. Power, of course, is one of the most clear examples, given that she's a fiend and doesn't have any care for humanity in the slightest, stating that she was on the side of whoever was winning. Even more indicative, of course, was her character introduction, simply wanting to save her pet cat, as she was more than willing to take Denji to his death in order to accomplish that goal. And of course, we see other things throughout. She toys around with Kobeni quite a bit, laughing at her when she's scared, and threatening to kill her at one point as well, just for fun. With the main trio out of the way, I want to focus on a particular arc actually to polish my point a bit more. The Eternity Demon in the hotel is a full-on showcase of the worst part of everyone's personality, as stress and the lack of options pushes everyone to the absolute edge. Desperation can bring out the best out of people, but also shows the true colors of everyone around you. Kobeni was obviously the most outward about her selfishness, as she was constantly on edge with everyone around her, ready to blame absolutely anyone if it meant giving her even the slightest bit of comfort. She, of course, was the one who wanted to kill Denji to escape more than anyone, leading her to stab Aki in the side as he shields Denji from her attack. Arai certainly didn't help the situation, as he eventually was on Team Kill Denji, and while Himeno kept it together for a while, she refused to kill Denji, even knocking Kobeni out cold to make sure she didn't attempt to kill him anymore. Eventually, however, when push came to shove, her own personal desires got in the way of this line of thinking. When faced with Aki cutting his lifespan by using the curse demon or Denji being sacrificed, she was obviously very quick to change her tune. A group meant to come out together to defeat a threat to humanity had completely turned against one another due to how poorly their personalities all meshed upon meeting each other and being put into this situation. Though there's still one more thing I need to mention, and that's the person who practically set the stage for these events. Makima from the get-go was someone that most people didn't want to trust immediately, and her more proper introduction in episode 2 showed this off first. While Makima's greater goal hasn't been something that's been told to the audience, you can tell she's trying to work towards some kind of end through the manipulation of Denji and those around her. She let the special divisions all get gunned down, and she was able to take personal command of the combined Special Division 4. This show doesn't hide how manipulative Makima can be, but it always shifts the focus away from that after it occurs due to the breakneck pacing of the series itself. Denji isn't smart enough and doesn't have the time to realize that he's being used for some sort of reason. The moment that she and Denji met, she started to weave her web of love that Denji willingly took a dive into. He's a total sucker for being cared about, and he truly believes that she cares for him. Of course, later on, when Makima says she wants Denji to kill the Gun Devil, she gets a bit touchy with him before asking. It's simple, but riling him up before the question works because of how simple Denji is. It's not complex manipulation, but she's still doing it, and it's still very effective. There are plenty of other characters to go over, but I just wanted to cover the most meaningful ones to the general anime experience. I've read the manga now that the first season is finished, and I'm happy that it continued to keep the same energy in there as well, while also growing the characters. They never really let go of who they are, but they're still able to change. And maybe the characters are a bit too much to be considered realistic in a sense, but I find it be much closer compromise than that of other shonen series out there. I don't know if I'd call it peak fiction, but it's a wild ride that is good at what it does, and I'm probably more invested in Chainsaw Man than any other modern shonen series that there is.